Give me the blanket.
Oh, Jim, you aren't angry.
Angry? Why, I'm as happy as a bird. And I'll probably feel like one sleeping on the balcony.
I know I rushed you into this thing, and I hope you won't be sorry. You see, things have been going so badly, I just had to do something. No job, no money. I was desperate.
Why, you poor little kid. Well, I guess we'd better not talk about it tonight.
But I do want you to know how I feel. Well, here's your blanket.
Thanks. Well, good night, Mrs. Burns.
Gee, it sounds funny, doesn't it? Well, good night, Mr. Burns.
You won't have to lock that door.
Oh, thank you.
Well, good night.
I hope it'll be cozy for you.
What was that?
I said I hope it won't be too cold for you.
Oh. Well, good night.
Good night.
Well,
good night.
Mr. and Mrs. Burns all settled, Flash?
Yeah. Yeah, but, boss, I tell you something phony about them two.
Ah, you're too suspicious. Boy, what a cook.
I'll lay you 6'2", and even right now, the guy's a G-man.
Yeah? Well, since when does a G-man travel around with a dame?
She could be a G-woman, couldn't she?
Oh, now listen, Flash, listen. If there's anything phony with either one of them, they ain't going to live to talk about it. Now, stop worrying.
Okay, but I just thought of something. They said they arrived this morning on the Mauritania, didn't they?
So what?
So the Mauritania happens to be a troop transport now.
So what?
So if they was on the Mauritania, they ain't a cook and a butler. They're a couple of English soldiers in Egypt.
Okay. Just keep your eye on them, that's all. And tell the boys not to open up when they're around. I still ain't going to lose a cook like that. Hey, look out the window.
Oh, what is it, boss?
Look up there on the sleeping porch.
Who's that guy with the blanket?
It ain't no Indian.
It's that guy, James. I told you something was phony. He's going to sleep out on the porch.
Wait a minute. Put that gun away, will you?
Now, you see? Supposed to be married. And she's sleeping in the bedroom, and he's sleeping on the porch. Now, what do you think of your friend, the G-Man?
I think he's a dope.
It's a week later. We find our four friends pretty much as we left them, only more so. Nolan is crazy about Joan's cooking and is eating his head off. Flash still has his watchful eye and his suspicious leer, only more so. Joan is interested in her job and Jim. Jim Buchanan, alias James Burns, is interested in Joan, only more so. As our scene opens, Dan Nolan is at the dinner table still eating his head off.
I'll have another generous helping of that stuff, sister. It's delicious.
But, Mr. Nolan, I've already filled your plate 8 times.
What do you mean 8 times? It was only 7. Do you think I'm a pig?
Oh, very well, Mr. Nolan. You can have all you like. Do you mind if I go to the kitchen? I have some work to do.
Okay, but leave the bowl here.
Thank you. Why, Jim, what do you think you're doing?
Well, I thought I'd wash the dishes so you'd have a little less work to do.
Well, thanks, but since when do you wash dishes with a whisk broom?
Well, I couldn't find anything else, and it does a good job.
You know, I've been watching you the past week, and I don't think you've ever done any real work in your whole life.
But that's ridiculous. I worked my way through college doing this.
College? Next you'll be telling me you went to Yale.
Smile when you say that. It was Harvard.
Harvard? Yeah, you went through Harvard in a rubberneck bus. No kidding. Where did you work last?
Well, I worked at the James Buchanan Automobile Company.
What were you, shipping clerk?
No, I was really very close to Mr. Buchanan. Bucky, I called him.
Oh, really? I suppose you could walk right into Jim's private office.
Jim, you mean Bucky?
Oh, I called him Jim.
Oh? You were very close to him, too?
Oh, I was his private secretary. He couldn't make a move without me.
Really? Well, tell me more.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'd still be with him, but his fiancée is so jealous.
He certainly is. I've heard a lot of office gossip.
Oh, but he writes me and begs me to come back. You see, he's really in love with me.
Yes, I think he is. I can see that he couldn't help it.
Oh, he's wonderful. He's so noble, so tender, so sweet, so romantic.
You're dripping suds on the floor.
Oh, well, I guess it's fate. Evelyn Fletcher gets married tomorrow and gets James Buchanan. And when I get married someday, what'll I get?
I don't know. What?
I'll probably get stuck with somebody like you. You sent for me, Mr. Nolan?
Yeah, Joan. Sit down. I want to talk to you. Go on. Sit down.
Well, really, Mr. Nolan, I've got lamb chops in the oven.
Ah, lamb chops. But business before pleasure. This is important.
Is there something wrong with my cooking?
No. It's divine. It's the nuts. You're a swell cook, and coming for me, that's something.
Oh, thank you.
Now, what I got to say is about that old man of yours. You know, James.
Oh, has he done something wrong?
He ain't doing right. You and him been married long?
Oh, why, yes, quite some time.
Are you happy?
Oh, of course.
Well, then how come he sleeps out on the porch? Answer me that.
Oh, well, he's a fresh air fiend.
That ain't what I call him. Come here, baby.
Mr. Nolan,
now, look, why don't you get rid of that dope? A beautiful doll like you ought to have a couple of buckets of diamonds, a house full of mink coats, and a pack of yachts.
Oh, Mr. Nolan, please. My lamb chops.
Oh, lamb chops. Well, now, look, Joan, I ain't so hard to take, am I?
Mr. Nolan, stop.
Oh, come on now, Johnny, come on. Come on, Johnny.
Mr. Nolan.
Huh?
If you please.
Hello, James.
Perhaps you two would like me to be alone.
Oh, no, Jim, I was...
All right, Joan. Get upstairs and pack.
Hey, now, look here, wise guy.
Mr. Nolan, Joan and I are quitting.
Jim!
Oh, now, wait a minute, James. You don't want to fly off the handle.
It's a fine thing when a married man can't trust his employer.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing anything. Honest, I wasn't. I was only complimenting her lamb chops.
Go on, Joan. I said pack our things.
No, wait a minute. Look here, James. I don't care if you are her husband. You can't come between me and her cooking. Now, maybe I was a little rough, but let's not get excited over a little thing like that. Now, look, I'll double your salary, see? And I won't even talk to Joan anymore. What do you say to that?
Absolutely not.
Oh, we'll think about it, Mr. Nolan.
Oh, please. If you'll just stay, I'll be good. Honest, I will. And double the salary.
Now, look, Joan, you're surely not thinking of staying.
Oh, why not? There's nothing vicious about Nolan. Why, he's as harmless as a kitten.
Yes, and you're catnip to him.
Jim, let's sit down a minute and discuss this like sensible human beings.
There's nothing to discuss. Come on, let's get packed.
But why? I don't see any reason in it.
No reason. Do you think I can go on working for a man who makes passes at my wife?
Your wife?
Certainly. What kind of a husband do you think I am?
Well, we're not really married.
What? Oh, that's right. I seem to keep forgetting that. Oh, Joan.
Yes, Jim?
Joan, I don't know exactly how to say this.
Yes, Jim?
Well, what I mean is, what if this fellow James Buchanan, the one you said was in love with you, what if he were to come to you?
Oh, he won't.
But suppose he did. What if he decided that he couldn't marry Evelyn Fletcher tomorrow? He was too much in love with you?
Oh, Jim Buchanan would never do a thing like that.
What makes you think he wouldn't?
Well, he's just not that sort of man. Jim told this Evelyn he'd marry her, and he will. He'd never back out on a deal.
But what if he knew he was madly in love with you? That he'd never be happy with the other girl?
Well, he'd keep it to himself. That's because he's honorable and fine. That's what I loved about him.
You don't know what you talked yourself into.
Oh, well, let's not talk about James Buchanan anymore. What was it you wanted to tell me, Jim?
Not a thing, Joan. Not a single blessed thing.
Flash, don't stand there with that dumb look on your pan. I'm asking a simple question. Where's my butler? Where's my cook? And where's my breakfast?
And I'm trying to tell you, boss, that guy James has took a run-out powder. Your cook's crying all over the kitchen, and you ain't got no breakfast.
No, is that so? Well, just wait till I talk to that cook.